welcome to episode 2 of my HALLEJUAH pre-series playlist for prepping for book 3, part 1. This episode isn't going to be very long at all. I just summarized a lot of the different chapters for book 2. I'm almost done with that. I just have a couple more and then I will have the entire book 2 summarized. I started pulling in a lot of my notes from my document into my Notion and putting together the actual full written out summary. That's pretty much how I've been putting it together. The whole summary within my Notion is just by copying and pasting the different notes from each of the chapters inside of my Notion. But I started doing that and just adding in some illustrations of different scenes of the story is pretty much what I've started to do. The same thing I pretty much did for book 1, adding in different visual aid illustrations. But I'm just going to show a little peek of that and just how many chapters that I have left to summarize for book 2, as well as how I am setting up things for my plot wall as I prep for book 3. But that's pretty much all for this episode 2. As I was going through the actual second book, I didn't realize that I actually have like 2 subplots within book 2 because of the continuation of Denise. So it's actually like 2 subplots within book 2, and I'm probably going to have 3 subplots within book 3 for like each one of the 3 daughters. So I think that's how I'm going to set things up as far as the storyline and all of the plots for the 3rd book, because I have to do the continuation for Chandra in book 3, and then the continuation for Denise in book 3, and then the actual main subplot of the eldest daughter, Genesis. So it's going to be probably 3 subplots within the 3rd book, and then the whole main plot as well. But that's probably what I'm going to have to do for the last and final book of the trilogy to close it out. But yeah. When I saw a chapter with Denise's name over top of it, that's what, allowed me to remember that there's actually 2 subplots in book 2 instead of just 1. But anyways, I'm just going to have to work my way around, including the continuations of the different daughters' situations, in order to, complete the whole entire story. But, yeah. Anyways, I'm just going to show how I'm progressing along with my summary for book 2. So I finished summarizing all 12 of the chapters for part 1 of book 2. I'm in part 2 of book 2 now, and I think I left off on chapter 17, so I have about 17 more chapters to summarize, and then I will have all of book 2 summarized. So this here again is the book 2 page. I added in some of the summary from my notes in here for the main plot, and also for the main subplot of the middle daughter, Chandra. Down here is a scene where a guy, he pulled over by the curb as she was calling for help for her friend Mario here. He's the guy that actually pulled over and called an ambulance for Mario. So that's what these images here represent. And underneath that, I just have a section for the second subplot for Denise that I've also started putting in some of that as well in here. But that's pretty much all that I have so far inside of the book 2 summary for the second book of the series. So this here is my plot wall. It's pretty simple. It's just index cards for each one of the 3 acts. At the top, the green is for the main plot about Isaiah and the church, and the subplot here for book 3 will be for Genesis. But I think I'm going to have 2 more subplots underneath for the continuation of Chandra and Denise's storylines, because I have to also add that into book 3. But that's how I think I'm going to set things up for that. And I think I'm going to put the names of each one of the characters beside the Act 1, just to be able to distinguish all of the different storylines as I go about plotting out the 3rd book. But that's pretty much how I intend to, Lord willing, go about doing that. Underneath each one of the actual acts is where I'd be putting the plot points that I use when I plot out my stories. All of the plot points for Act 1, Act 2, and so forth will go underneath each one of the acts. So that's how I actually plot out for my stories. Alright, this concludes episode 2. Perhaps in the 3rd episode I will have all of the chapters summarized for book 2, and we'll begin plotting book 3 finally. But that's it for this episode.